Here's the thing. You can add all the good stuff. You can work out, you can eat all the vegetables, all the superfoods, and all the supplements on the planet. And a couple weeks ago, I made a video on superfoods and healthy habits that changed my life. So make sure you check that out. But here's the thing. You can really only progress so far when it comes to your health and wellness journey unless you remove all the other unhealthy factors from your lifestyle. Because if you start eating more avocado and start working out, for example, but you're still eating Doritos and you're still eating chicken nuggets from McDonald's, you ain't going anywhere. That's like taking one step forward and two steps back. You're just chasing your own tail. And I always like to say that what you stop eating has far more impact to your health than what you start eating. The same thing applies when it comes to your habits. We're going to be applying the concept of addition by subtraction here. So today, we're going to talk about 8 unhealthy and self-sabotaging habits that you need to stop doing so you can put yourself in the best position possible to succeed when it comes to your health and wellness journey. These are the exact same tips that I give to all my students inside my Fat Loss Accelerator program, so you know it works. Before we get started, give this video a like, subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell to get notified every time I post a new video every week. Okay, let's start with a low-hanging fruit. Stop stocking junk food in your house. Now, I'm not saying that you should never have a treat and have the most pristine diet of all time. I mean, go ahead if you want to do that. I just like carrot cake and cheesecake too much, so I'll never stop eating it. But guess what? I never stock it in my house. Listen, we are not wired for self-control as human beings. We're just not. And your environment determines your success. If you always have Doritos within arm's reach, guess what you're gonna eat? If you don't, and you have better and delicious and healthy options available to you instead, then you have no choice, I guess, but to eat that. And we are also extremely lazy by design. We're really flawed as human beings. Usually, the fact that you need to put pants on, get in your car, drive through traffic, wait in line at the grocery store, drive back to your house, take your pants off just so you can have a treat, that usually is enough to deter people from having it to begin with. This is why I never stock my friends Ben and Jerry at home. Otherwise, I will eat it, usually in one sitting. Here's another thing that I want to add to this. Let's say you do end up having a cheat meal, and that's okay. Don't buy the entire cake because you're gonna have leftovers. Keep it to just one cheat meal. It's not a give an inch, take a mile scenario here. Number 2. Stop eating out so much. What I mean by this is if you eat out more than a couple of times per week, you should not be having more takeout meals than home cooked meals. Why? Because what gets measured gets managed. One of the best things that you can do for your health and wellness journey is being aware of what's in your food. That's why I always recommend that you eat single ingredient, mostly unprocessed, nutrient-dense foods. And if you make your own meals at home, then you are completely in control of that. And that's why I love using plant-based substitutes here as well, because people just get brainwashed to think that this stuff is good for you. But if you look at the back of a Beyond Burger patty, there are at least 18 ingredients, and it's been processed to the nth degree. If you eat a piece of steak, for example, it's unprocessed and there's only one ingredient. Let me ask you this. What do you think is healthier for you? And your control when it comes to your food gets completely taken out of your hands when you eat out, when you order takeout. You just don't know what restaurants are putting in your food. Remember, food companies and restaurants spend top dollars in marketing and research to make their foods highly palatable. Even if it's a healthy restaurant, you just don't know what they're putting in your food. When you order anything deep fried, for example, restaurants have to cut costs somewhere. So they use cheap, highly inflammatory, toxic vegetable seed oils. That stuff is literally one of the worst things you can put in your body. Some experts compare the negative effects of those oils as if you're drinking radiation. That's why fast food is so cheap. And if you know exactly what goes in your food, you are way more likely to make smarter and healthier decisions. But when you order an overpriced $20 salad, for example, who knows what's in that salad? When you make your own, you know exactly what's in it. When I throw some cauliflower and Brussels sprouts in the oven, I know exactly what's in my food. The other thing that I want to point out is that the markups are insane when you eat out. And usually, the cheapest ones on the menu are processed carbs, like French fries, deep fried in toxic oil. Going back to buying an overpriced $20 salad, that same amount of money can easily get you a box of grass-fed and grass-finished burger patties and some pasture-raised eggs, which can easily last you a week. Unhealthy habit number 3, stop making yourself feel bad. In the history of feelings, no one has ever benefited from this. You need to stop feeling guilty about eating bad food or missing a workout. It's not the end of the world. This is a self-sabotaging habit that we need to completely cut ties with because it can turn into a vicious cycle real fast. Because if you feel bad, then that can stress you out, which can lead to stress eating. Then you feel worse, which leads to even more stress, which leads to even more stress eating. And now you're just this big giant ball of stress. And I have a separate video on how to stop stress eating, so make sure you check that out. But if you can stop this cycle right away and not feel bad about your little slip up, then you can just move forward with your life. And not stressing out about this stuff is so important because chronic stress leads to chronic inflammation in the body, which opens up Pandora's box to all sorts of disease, including obesity, cancer, diabetes, arthritis, autoimmune, and cardiovascular disease, just to name a few. It also leads to that all too familiar weight gain around your stomach. And just remember this, you change best when you feel good, not when you feel bad. Life gets a little bit easier. Like, it's so much easier to do life when you have a good relationship with yourself. You need to forgive yourself right away and just remember that you are one good meal away and one workout from being back on track. Do not ruminate about it. Do not stress about it. Just breathe. It's all good. Number 4, stop taking unsolicited advice from unqualified people. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one. You need to stop letting other people's experiences and opinions influence your behavior. Yes, there is something to be said about collective learning from other people's mistakes, like don't make those same mistakes. But what I'm trying to say here is that if you're trying to carve your own path, you're just starting out your health and wellness journey, you need to be careful who you listen to. Here's a simple rule. Do not take advice from anybody you would not trade places with. And even then, bioavailability still has to come into play. For example, how long you've been carrying the extra weight that you're trying to lose plays a huge role when it comes to how long it's going to take for you to lose it. Your genetic predisposition to storing fat also plays a factor. And there's still so much bad information out there that is still considered conventional wisdom, and a lot of people still believe in it. Like, if you ask the average person out there how to lose weight, they'll tell you without a doubt to just eat less and move more. But it's not as simple as that. It's not gonna work without optimizing your hormones. And my entire channel is dedicated towards debunking that myth, so make sure you check out my other videos if you're new to the channel. Another good example is intermittent fasting, which I also talk a lot about. Unless you're pregnant or you're a teenager or you have a history of eating disorder, it is literally one of the best things that you can do to the human body. But again, if you ask the average person, they will tell you without a doubt that you are hurting yourself when you fast. Other people will try to convince you to go vegan after watching a stupid documentary like What the Health or Game Changers. Again, you need to be careful who you listen to. I personally share my healthy lifestyle with you, and my entire channel is dedicated towards educating people on how to live a healthier lifestyle based on my own personal experience and the results of all my students. But you might not agree with everything I say, especially if you're vegan. That's okay. You do you. Like, I'm not here to tell you what to do. You need to tell yourself what to do. Okay, this next thing is something that I'm still working really hard to get better at, but hey, we're in this together. And that is, you need to stop working too hard and ignoring self-care. And I've come a long way with this, but I'm still a work in progress. I will always be a work in progress. Raise your hand if you're the same way, but I can be really hard on myself when it comes to taking days off. And I love what I do. I feel so blessed and I'm so grateful that I get to do what I love, which is to speak my truth and educate people. But sometimes I still work way too hard and don't really give myself enough time to rest and recover and give myself the self-care that my brain and body needs. I'm just as susceptible as everyone when it comes to this because I always feel like there's something to do. Like, I'm my own boss, and again, I've come a long way when it comes to this, but I can be the worst boss sometimes when it comes to taking days off. In terms of training, sometimes I need to remind myself that I'm not competing anymore and I don't always have to go 110% during training. And again, it's important that you are at least aware that this is happening because failure to address this can result in some negative health problems, like again, chronic stress, which I mentioned earlier. If you don't give yourself a break, if you don't give your body time to calm down and relax, then you're always going to be living in this constantly elevated level of stress, and that is no good. This is why I've been incorporating a lot of mindfulness and self-care tips in my recent videos because it is so important. Like, when you're really sore or you're really tired but you're supposed to work out that day, but instead you end up sleeping in and taking the day off from the gym, don't think of it as you being lazy. Think of it as a form of self-care. It's just part of living a healthy lifestyle. What I recommend doing here is scheduling self-care on your calendar. Put it on your schedule. For example, for me, and this is my morning routine, I'll wake up, I'll brush my teeth, I'll drink a glass of water, I'll make coffee, and while it's brewing, I'm gonna go back to my room and I'm gonna meditate for 10 minutes. Then after that, I'm gonna go for my 10 to 15 minute walk. And when I come back from that, I'm gonna grab my journal and start my gratitude practice. Only when I'm done all those things do I even touch my laptop. When it comes to actually taking time off from work, like going on a vacation, you should actually schedule it and book time off instead of just trying to fit it in whenever that free time becomes available. But guess what? You're always gonna have things on your plate. In the US, for example, in 2018, 55% of workers reported that they did not use all of their vacation days. A total of 768 million vacation days went unused. Listen, nobody in their deathbed will ever say that, man, I wish I worked more. Number 6, stop putting everyone else's needs ahead of yours. This is one of the most self-destructive mindsets out there. My family comes first. Nope, you come first. Everything else comes second. Why? Who's gonna take care of you if you don't take care of yourself now? If you have kids, for example, and I hear this with some of my students, they'll say, oh, I have teenage kids. It's hard to stay on track with my diet because I have to cook for them. So, who cooks for them? Who buys the groceries? Who puts food on the table? You need to take control and you need to put yourself first. And if you're healthy and you're happy, guess what? The entire family is healthy and happy. Number 7, stop being an active couch potato. Listen, I used to be one of these people. I was the poster child. I would go to my CrossFit class every day, and then after that, I would avoid anything and everything that involved any sort of physical exertion on my part. And a lot of people do this. They're active for their hour-long workout at the gym, but for the rest of the day, those other 23 hours, they're completely sedentary. They barely get out of their desks at work, and then they come home, they sit on the couch and just watch Netflix all night. Sound familiar? Yes, you're definitely doing a lot better than people living just a completely sedentary lifestyle. But guess what? You're still sedentary for the other 23 hours. That's like 95% of the time. And the same negative effects of living a sedentary lifestyle still applies to you. Listen, we evolved as human beings to move. There's so much research out there about the negative effects of prolonged inactivity. And we voluntarily subject ourselves to this behavior all the time. And I get it. People have to work desk jobs and whatnot, but for every hour, try to at least move for 5 minutes. Get up and stretch. Go for a walk. Like, smokers get smoke breaks all the time, all day. Do the same thing. I mean, don't smoke, but go for a walk instead. And more likely than not, you always come back more awake and more mentally alert. Not only that, walking also helps your recovery from your workout. It can help you get better sleep. It upregulates your fat burning metabolism. It can lower the blood glucose response if you go for a walk after a meal, for example. And it can drastically lower your stress levels. And this is why I always tell my students, if you're stressed, stop whatever you're doing and go for a walk and just move. You're not a tree. Number 8, stop allowing toxic people to have access to you and vice versa. You have 100% complete control of this. Stop following and interacting with people who make you feel bad about yourself, who make you feel less than. On social media, for example, if you follow people, when you look at their posts, you feel bad about yourself, you need to unfollow that person. And people only post their highlights on social media anyway. Even your favorite fitness influencer, they'll post something like, oh, I woke up like this, and they look amazing. And then you look at yourself in the mirror, you look like you got hit by a bus twice. You can't help but compare yourself to how they look. Does that really help your situation? That's not good for your mental health. And I'm gonna give you some real talk here because we can be really petty sometimes. Let me ask you this. Do you really still need to be following your ex on social media? Why are you still checking their stories? Why do you still check if they've seen your story? Do you know what I mean? If that's you and you feel personally attacked, I can relate because I used to do the same thing. But if you have that behavior, then you are actively contributing to your own unhappiness. Don't be part of the problem. Be part of the solution. Like if your ex hurt you, for example, and you're still following them on social media because you want them to see how much better you're doing, then have you really moved on? Listen, holding on to a grudge like that is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. You need to move on from those people and delete them from your life. You are way better off. But then there's also people in real life that are extremely toxic. These people are extremely miserable and they just drag you down. And we all have people like this in our lives. You feel worse every time you interact with them. They make you feel bad about yourself. You need to start distancing yourself from these people, even if it's your own relatives. Listen, What I've learned in life is that you can love your family from a distance. If they're toxic, even if it's your own family, you need to start spending less time with them. And I'm gonna leave you a couple of tidbits here that I want you to take away from this video. You wanna surround yourself with people who celebrate you, not tolerate you. Stop doing things that does not bring you joy. If the price of something or anything costs you some of your happiness, it's too big of a price tag. It's never worth it. The next question then becomes, how are you actually supposed to eat if you want to lose weight? Because here's the thing, 80% of your body composition is determined by your diet. You can't just freestyle this part. Do you have a proven plan that you can follow? To help you with that, I want to give you a free copy of my Lean Body Blueprint. This is how I melted all the fat around my stomach without depriving myself of my favorite foods or wasting hours at the gym. It's a simple 4-step process specifically designed for busy professionals, and it's the exact same blueprint that I teach to all my private coaching clients, and they've all gone to see some amazing results. If you want to be the next success story, then download your free copy of the Lean Body Blueprint right now. There's going to be a link somewhere at the top here or in the description box. Just click on it, type in your email, and I'll send it to you right away. All right, that's all I've got. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and share it with your friends. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I post a new video every week. And hey, leave a comment below if you have any questions about this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. First, a high five.